started. The suspense is back.
And we have no weapons of any kind?
The fear is back.
Ah! Don't look back, dude! Run as fast as you can!
And most of all, the bitch is back. Alien 3.
We're the huge movie fanatics here to review Alien 3, or Alien Cubed, as it was sort of marketed.
Oh, yeah, the name was,
tiny little
the number was up there.
Yeah, which is directed by David Fincher, who is, I think, one of the best directors of our time, currently, our current era, this being his first movie. And if Aliens is the example of how to make a sequel right,
Correct.
this is an example of how not to make a sequel.
Oh, shucks.
Because Alien 3, if there were no alien or aliens, just say this woman crash lands on this planet and there's an alien on board and starts spreading through the planet and whatnot, where they have no weapons or anything. That's a good idea. It's a good. That's a good movie.
Good premise, good pitch.
Good premise, good pitch. Good characters, all the way through. I really like the characters. Finding it hard to sympathize for these rapists and murderers, but at the same time, you kind of do. Because they actually are well-developed characters, a lot of them, and they're great actors. The acting in this movie, I think, is just astounding. David Fincher has a great eye for what looks good, and I think, in all honesty, this is the best-looking Alien movie.
You think it's the best-looking
hands
Alien
down,
movie?
the best-looking Alien movie.
Wow.
Cinematography is great. He's a fan of his yellow, that man. Just like James Cameron's a fan of his blue.
Blue.
David Fincher has a great eye for this. And I think the movie itself, I'm going to have two star ratings here. The movie itself is a 3-star movie. This is possibly even 3.5. Like, this is a really, really good movie. But you can't help watch it as a sequel because it is Alien 3, and I think this is probably the worst sequel I've ever seen. Because it makes the entire, everything that happened in Alien and Aliens entirely void. It doesn't, it ruins everything that these characters fought for.
Yeah.
And in such a way that it almost ruins those movies, and it certainly ruins this one. And you have the greatest female character who's powerful and commanding and strong and self-assured and all this. And you have her in a rape scene, which is probably the most inexcusable scenes.
Well, they don't actually
do the rape, but it takes a guy to come in and save her and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I've got to teach these boys some lessons. And Charles Dunton sells the hell out of that line because it's Charles Dunton, but at the same time it's stupid. There's no reason for that to be there. And this is where the producers of the Alien franchise were like, well, nobody else is writing the right script, I'm going to write it. And so he...
That was it wasn't even, it was a problem with that movie. They had no script or something.
Yeah, and the original premise I kind of liked too, which was it was a wooden planet of priests. I thought that was kind of neat, and they had these people who firmly believed in God and not fighting, suddenly finding this demonic monster that they have to fight, and also having no weapons. That was kind of interesting. I would have liked to see where that one went. Yeah. And that was the one that they started filming. They actually built the set pieces for the wooden planet. If you watch the making of,
something about that.
if you watch the making of, I feel bad for David Fincher, and Sigourney Weaver, I was reading an interview, said that of the 4 Alien movies, the only one director that didn't have creative control over the outcome of what the movie ended up being was David Fincher, because the producers held the control of the movie. It wasn't his movie. He was just there. And he tried to make it his as best as he could, but he couldn't because you had the studio heads pushing on it and pushing on it. They gave, Ridley's obviously had creative control because it was his movie, it was an original, and it was his. Cameron was given free reign for whatever reason.
Well, I think Terminator was a good example of what he was capable of.
But so that is very much his movie. And then the guy who directed Alien 4, got his control over that movie, which is kind of strange, but Alien 3 didn't, and that very much shows that the producers were trying to capture it needs to be scary like Alien, but it needs to be fun and adventurous like Aliens, and it has to have plenty of action, but there can be no weapons. And like, you could totally see where the producers were just trying to find what the audience wanted to see and just missing the ball.
Yeah.
So I give the movie...
Well, wait, you give it 2 sets of stars?
I'm getting 2 sets of stars.
Is this a New Year's resolution?
This is the one that, like, maybe there's only a couple of movies out there that I'm giving
2 sets of stars?
2 sets of ratings because it is a really well-made movie with a terrible script and terrible people behind the control of the movie. I'm not talking about Fincher, but Fincher doesn't even like this movie, probably for that reason.
Yeah.
That he doesn't feel like this is his movie. So why count it as part of his movies? Just like James Cameron doesn't count Piranha because it wasn't his movie. Piranha 2. Yeah. It's silly calling it The Spawning. I'd give it, I'll say 3 stars because it's good, but as like a sequel and my personal review of it, I'd give it about half of a star because I hate it so much.
I don't quite understand the 2 stars, but whatever. You know, you're free to do what you want on Huge Movie Fanatics. I saw this one, obviously, in the theater. I mean, this is obviously after, Aliens, like one of the most all-time amazing sequels. I mean, pretty much probably everyone, maybe even Grandma, likes Aliens. I mean, pretty much everyone likes Aliens, like your coworkers and things. And I think people were so excited about the idea of, a third Alien movie. And I gotta tell you, when I saw it in the theater, and one of the best things about the movie is what they do with the 20th Century Fox. Remember the fanfare music at the beginning? Yeah. Dun 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 dun, and it goes dun dun dun. When that happened, I was like, this is gonna be the best movie ever. And cut to 20 minutes later, that's a different story. But don't you love that? That was awesome.
The opening scene is great.
Actually, the opening credits are great. The flash.
The score in the movie, I think, is probably the best score.
What happened to him? That was Elliot. Goldenthal.
Goldenthal, that's it.
He had a great sound.
That was such a good. The whole score, I think, is probably the best.
Elliot, where did you go? But I remember that too. I got the tape at the time of the score. Yeah. Because I should actually get the CD of that if I can find it.
I do have.
Well, then you can rip it for me.
I'll see if I can do that. I have.
Well, I can do that if you can't.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, I thought of that just now. The opening credits, the flash cuts of stuff happening, and the funny thing is, when I was a kid and I was a fan of Aliens, I wrote I didn't write a whole sequel, but I wrote the beginning of like the sequel to Aliens, and it was the same thing. I mean, the egg. I mean, obviously
it doesn't make any sense.
That's the only way you go. Well, yeah, the queen wouldn't really have time, but that's the only way you can go.
Left her sack behind.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if the egg can come out of her butt. I don't know if you need the sack. I think the sack is just a way for it to kind of to put the eggs here and there, so maybe an egg can probably just come out of her body.
I don't know.
But it was really crazy because before Alien 3 was ever in production, I had that premise of the egg, being left on the ship, which is the only way you can really go, which is interesting. But I love the flash cuts of the beginning and stuff and everything, and the whole idea of like the prison planet. I don't know if it's a prison planet or whatever the hell it is. And the double wide chromosome, which I didn't understand and still kind of don't understand what the hell that means. But
I like that.
And I remember the huge thing about the shaving the heads and having her shave the head.
She's one of the few women that actually pulls off bald so well that I'm like, I can kind of dig it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm teetering between 2.5 and 3. I think we'll just say 2.5. There are things there's things I really love about it. I think Fincher's vision and the sound design, and obviously the music is awesome. It's amazing in the movie. But I think as a general whole, and the thing is, I'm torn between what you mentioned, and probably everyone hated about taking all the triumphant characters that you know, from the first one and just basically killing them before the third one starts. I'm torn because when I first saw it, I was like, I think it starts the movie because this is the way life is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why hear me out. This is why I respect that choice, which is not a popular choice, and it's understandable why it's not a popular choice. The thing I respected about that choice to kill Hicks and Newt is because that is the way life works, and I thought it was such a bold, for that reason, such a bold freaking move to basically, I don't know, I think the alien egg created a fire or whatever the hell happened.
Yeah.
Basically the acid or whatever, I don't know why I actually bled, it doesn't really make sense why I bled.
Somehow the facehugger gets into the into the thing, and presumably when it got out, the glass cut it.
Oh, is that what you think?
So somehow when it breaking the glass in Newt's hyperspace tube thing when it gets on her face is what does it for her.
Yeah.
And then somehow the alien, sensing that she had drowned, got out of her and went into Ripley, which they don't thoroughly explain. I had to read the comic books to fully understand that. And I was like, because they actually flat out show that happening in the comics, and I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. It's a species that's fighting for survival. I sort of follow that. They could have explained that a little better in the movie.
Yeah. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I went with it at the time. I still respect it for that reason. I can completely understand why it's not popular. Totally, obviously can understand. But to have them die and have her be at such a low point, you know, like imagine waking up in that. I mean, it just being like, oh God. Mm-hmm. I thought that in a lot of ways it was a very, very bold choice, and I respect that choice.